Even in this current market, XRP continues to show major signs of not just growth, but we're starting to see a lot of adoption happening around the XRP ledger as well. And this is actually very crucial to focus on at this time while the market is down, because it is showing us the strength of the network. And it's also showing us that XRP is on center stage, and we have to talk about it. Now, I also want to go over a lot of additional information as well outside of just this post here that's really kind of highlighting just how bullish XRP actually is right now. So let's start off with this post here from Sentiment, because this actually gives us an insight on the growth happening around the XRP ledger. So we have the XRP ledger is showing serious signs of growth from both a usage and key stakeholder perspective. The amount of interacting XRP addresses has averaged over 295,000 per day over the last week. Its normal daily average over the past 3 months was approximately 35,000 to 40,000. So the fact that we have 295,000 plus per day over the past week is very significant. On top of this, whales have been, diving in. Additionally, there are now over 2,700 whale and shark wallets holding at least 1 million XRP for the first time in the asset's 12 plus year history. We can actually see here, let me open this up in a new tab. Let me zoom out real quick. So we have in yellow the daily active addresses, and then we also have the blue, which the blue is the actual unique wallets holding at least 1 million XRP or more. And we can see that they are both spiking in a significant way, and this has been happening for a little bit of time now, especially towards like the end of May. And this is actually very, very exciting to see, because it means that we're starting to see a lot more network activity. We're starting to see a lot more whale buying as well of XRP. So this is a very good sign of how bullish XRP actually is. On top of this, right, we're now starting to see more and more integrations in this space. For an example, recently we did see breaking full XRP integration is coming to Cardano, says founder Charles Hoskinson, hints at full XRP integration into Cardano plus RLUSD, DeFi features, Lace Wallet support, and Glacier drops. A new crypto alliance could be forming. Now, this is actually happening at a time where we are starting to see the EVM, sidechain, starting to really kind of kick up into possibly going live. They're saying around Q2, right towards the end of Q2, and we're right there. So, it looks like that's right around the corner. Once the EVM sidechain also is live, so many networks can integrate and connect into the XRP ledger, which is going to be a game changer. We're going to see a lot more, volume, increased dev activity as well. We're going to see just overall use cases, really starting to heat up. So I'm actually very excited about the EVM sidechain. I think that there's 90 almost plus projects already on the EVM sidechain, which is wild. Now, on top of this, we have over here companies planning to add XRP to their treasury. These are starting to pile up. Big shout out to Edo Farina for this. We have big whales are quietly buying up millions because they know something big is coming, which we do have confirmation of that. It's not just talk. A supply shock is inevitable. Don't necessarily think that that is the case. I think eventually we will definitely be talking about a supply shock, but right now, I don't think that that is the case. Time is running out. Again, don't necessarily think that is the case. I do think that time is running out on the fact that, we're probably not going to be able to buy XRP around certain prices ever again, even during the bear market. Now, when we think about that, let's look at these companies launching an XRP treasury. Trident with 500 million, Wobus with 300 million, Vivo Power with 121 million, Logistics with 50 million, Hyperscale with 10, Worksport with 5, and then BC Bud and Digital Com, they're around like roughly $225,000 to $250,000. But the fact that we have over almost $1 billion allocated to XRP just from, companies, some of these are public traded companies, shows us how big XRP is becoming. Like I said, it's on center stage. Now, at the same exact time that companies are planning to add XRP to their treasury, and we're starting to see whale activity picking up and, accumulation of XRP also heating up, and also we're starting to see more and more integrations and even the EVM sidechain starting to become a reality, we also have more updates around the ETFs. We already know that the Purpose Investment ETF did start trading earlier today. And this actually leads me to this announcement from Eleanor Tourette, which is new following a prior delay to June 17th, which was, yesterday, or technically 2 days ago now. The SEC Gov is inviting public comment on whether to approve or deny CBOE's proposal to list the FTI, this is Franklin Templeton, XRP spot ETF. The deadline for comments and rebuttals is also in late July. I think that they give us a date here, maybe not, but it is sometime around like roughly the end of July. And when we think about this, right, we're getting closer to the ETF in the US being traded live. I can't wait for this. This is going to be a huge one to follow because once we do get one, we get all of the other ones. Now, big shout to Good Morning Crypto because he actually put out a great post regarding all of the final deadlines, which if we actually look at this, we have the Grayscale XRP ETF, which the final SEC deadline is about October 18th. October 19th is the 21 shares XRP ETF. October 20th is the Bitwise XRP ETF. October 24th is the Canary Capital XRP ETF. And then we also have the Wisdom Tree, CoinShares, Franklin Templeton ETFs, all by October 25th. So October is basically a big month to look at. Now, mind you, we don't have to wait for these deadlines. I've talked about this on multiple occasions, right? We don't need to wait for the deadline. These could happen at any moment. The second that the SEC starts to approve any of these spot ETFs, that's the second that we start to see, the wave of them getting, fully greenlit, which I'm very excited about because I think that we're getting closer and closer to that, especially at a time where we're starting to see XRP on, center stage. The more and more, volume and value and, the more good news that happens around XRP and the more focus on XRP, well, the more these big players, like, for an example, we'll just say BlackRock, for an example. We know that there's not an XRP ETF filing from BlackRock, but if I was BlackRock and I'm seeing XRP always in the headlines, I'm always seeing XRP being brought up, I'm seeing, so much activity around XRP, I'm thinking we need an ETF. So, the more ETF filings that we get, and, the more news that we also get as well, it's a stronger case for big players like BlackRock to also file for one, which I do believe that we will get. And I don't even think that Fidelity filed for one, so that's another one that we're really kind of looking at as well. I think that by the end of this year, we'll probably have almost every single big player on board of an XRP ETF. It just makes a lot of sense. They want to make a lot of money. They're looking at, Bitcoin, they're looking at Ethereum. Next up in line is XRP because XRP has been outperforming almost everything in the top 100 this cycle. And on top of that, XRP has been everywhere, making so much noise. Now, on top of that, we do have over here from Open Eden. In 2024, we partnered with Ripple to become the first tokenized US Treasuries launched on the XRP ledger. Ripple's investment in our T-bill tokens highlights their confidence in the future of RWAs on chain. Together, we're bridging TradFi and DeFi. Now, in this video clip that got posted by All In Crypto, we have Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz talk tokenized real-world assets, naming BlackRock's bullishness on RWAs and how Ripple is working with institutions to acquire treasuries with Open Eden X and also Archix. Check this out.
Seeing Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, publicly, this is one of the largest asset managers on the planet, publicly lean into his belief around tokenization of real-world assets as a profound opportunity. And as some of you guys know, and I think certainly David and I spent time talking about, we've had a bunch of announcements on this front. Open Eden, most recently, doing the tokenization of U.S. Treasuries. I think Ripple may or may not have yet publicly announced we're actually going to allocate and buy about $10 million worth of Open Eden U.S. Treasuries, which will be kind of the on-chain version, if you will. But also, one of the things we announced at our last Apex, our developer conference, was a relationship with Archix, and I think he's on stage later today. Is that right? Do you know that?
No, I'm not sure.
All right, I think I'm supposed to give a plug around that, but I'm curious. I mean, any other surprises from you on real-world assets, either why it's taken long or why it's happening quickly? What's your thoughts?
I think the biggest surprise for me is how quickly the major players seem to feel that this would be inevitable. They went from crypto's all a bunch of scams and it's never going to threaten TradFi, to starting to see that
lean in.
Yeah, we see polls where these institutional players believe that this is definitely going to happen. And the interesting thing about that is that means that they need to establish defensible positions. And I think that kind of segues interestingly into our play in custody with the acquisition of Medico, to put ourselves in a position to, people who issue real world assets, they're not going to all want to build their own platforms and management and all that.
And yeah, I mean, listen, when we really think about what's been going on here, any big player that does want to tokenize, that's also another key thing that I want to take from David, is that if I was a big institutional player or any, it could be any company, right? It could be a bank that wants to tokenize deposits. I'm going to utilize somebody that has an all-in-one package, which is Ripple, right? They have Ripple custody. They have the tokenization engine already built into that. They have a liquid stablecoin. They have everything it's all under one umbrella. So they have an all-in-one package. And today we know that tokenization is only continuing to heat up. Open Eden is killing it, even though it is a smaller, company. They have about 58,000 plus followers. You got to remember, that's not just follower count, right? Open Eden has been killing it. Archix, by the way, also looks pretty small on paper, 16.6K followers. They're actually one of the bigger players in this space in terms of protocols. Now, when we talk about tokenization, it's been heating up on the XRP ledger. Let me actually just refresh this, make sure that it's all up to date. $157 million on the XRP ledger, which might seem small, but this is actually up almost 35% in just the last 30 days. Stablecoin market cap also up over 31% in the last 30 days. And if we actually come down here, we can see that Archix is number one. If we actually look at the protocols, if we look at Archix, so currently this is what we have on the XRP ledger. I don't know if this is tracking everything. I don't even think that it's all fully up to date, because we do know if we actually go to Archix's website, they have a ton of things fully tokenized already. I think that it's actually under here where they list everything. So I don't think that they have everything listed here, but we already know that they're working with Aberdeen, with Hedera, for an example. They're tokenizing billions of dollars there. They're also tapped in with the XRP ledger through Aberdeen as well. And they have integrations with XDC and Solana, Algorand, Polygon, all of these great networks. So, I don't think that this is getting fully tracked here, but the fact that we see so much of this value on the XRP ledger already, and by the way, this is a mix of everything. We have stablecoins on here. We have stocks, US treasuries. We have non-US government debt. I mean, there's so much that will be added to this over the course of the next couple weeks. But so far, Open Eden has about 5.1 million on here. Archix has, almost $12 million. So we're starting to see more and more tokenized RWAs coming online for the XRP ledger. We now have, I think, like 5 or 6 different stablecoins as well. We're going to see these numbers. Like right now, if you really want to take a screenshot of these numbers, come back to this video in 3 months, for an example. I'll just give it 1 quarter. These numbers are going to look completely different because we continue to see more and more adoption happening around XRP for tokenization initiatives. Now, also at the end of the day, when we think about this space, like I said in the beginning of this video, even though this market is currently in this downward swing where not a lot of things are happening price action wise, we still continue to see a lot of moves happening around XRP. But what if I told you that the market is going to soon, wake up in a big way? I actually saw this post from TechDev52, and although a lot of people have their own opinion on TechDev in terms of like how much he posts about bullish, bullish this, bullish that, or the bull market this, bull market that, if I actually look at this, right, this is that every 4-year time frame. Now, he did say that this one is actually taking 5 years. If we look into this, okay, let me just zoom in real quick. So we have at the top Bitcoin, and then on the bottom we have the liquidity weighted business cycle. Now, if we're thinking about liquidity, we know liquidity is about to increase significantly. I don't even think that we need to look at this chart from TechDev. We know that the M2 supply has been going crazy. We're hearing all this talk about war, and we have these riots breaking out in the US. We will print more money, especially when it comes to war or any major conflicts. We start to see the M2 supply, exploding. But already the M2 supply has been surging, while Bitcoin has been pretty stable, and so has crypto. This is telling us, and this is actually hinting, that Bitcoin and crypto is going to also surge this year to catch up with the M2 supply. Okay, I do think that everyone should be paying attention to liquidity. I think everyone should be paying attention to the M2 supply around the world, not just in the US, because we already have in the European Union, we have the M2 supply exploding. China has also been exploding their M2 supply. And I do think that the US is also going to as well. It's only a matter of time. So when we think about this, right, every single 4 years, yeah, the 4-year cycle, and technically, yes, it could stretch to 5, is all following the liquidity cycle. This one is taking a little bit longer because we never actually saw that big surge in liquidity so far this cycle. But we have the perfect environment for it. So now when we think about what's happening here, this is also telling us exactly why we should be very bullish, not just on XRP, but on crypto in general, because this market is definitely going to be, in my opinion, trading significantly higher in the coming weeks. I don't think that we have to wait longer than, like roughly the beginning of July. I think that by the beginning of July, things will be significantly higher as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.